everybody, we're here from Franklin Park Zoo today. My name is Amy. I'm one of the Animal Ambassador Specialists here today. And here with me, which I think everybody is the most important part, I have Gertrude. She's an African pygmy falcon. She's one of our animal ambassadors, and she's still in training, so this is kind of coming all the way outside. It's still a little bit new for her. If you've maybe been walking around Franklin Park Zoo recently, you might have caught us bringing her outside every now and then. It's something we're kind of getting her used to, because coming outside, that is an awful lot for her. So if you see her kind of like looking around, she's probably not going to be too chatty. She's pretty quiet, so she's kind of getting comfortable with everything. So she is 4 years old. She was born here at Franklin Park Zoo. If you've been walking around, you might have seen some of the pygmy falcons that we have on exhibit in the tropical forest. So she came to us as an animal ambassador, and one of the really neat things that I like to point out about these guys, which is a little different than a lot of birds of prey, is that you can actually tell the males and the females apart. The females actually have this chestnut brown color on their back. The males just have a plain slate gray, so that's something really cool that sets them apart that I really like to point out. And I did mention she was an African pygmy falcon, so as you can probably guess, she's from Africa. You find these guys kind of living in semi-arid and arid areas where it's going to be pretty open. There's going to be a few trees and bushes for them to perch and hang out on, so they can kind of keep an eye out for any prey that might be going by. Now, just taking a look at her, you can see just how small she is. Believe it or not, she is a full-grown as they're flying through the air, but they will also go for small lizards as well. Those are the two main things that they'll go for in the wild, but they'll also go for any small rodents or birds if they're kind of around. And one of the other really neat things about pygmy falcons is that kind of where you find their populations is where you would also find a lot of weaver birds living. These guys are nest pirates, so rather than building their own nests, they like to make use of some nests that have already been built by those weaver birds that make really big, elaborate work on building the nest, which can be really exhausting for birds. And it also helps the weaver birds as well. Having the pygmy falcons as their next door neighbor gives them a little protection from other predators. Snakes. Falcons might eat a few weavers, but overall it's a little bit more helpful to have them kind of around for the weavers. All right. See if she has. I have a couple little bits of meat for her. Sometimes she's a little nervous outside, so sometimes she's not too interested in eating. So she's kind of just keeping an ear out for everything. Having any questions come in yet?
We have one question from Ashley asking, what's her wingspan?
So her wingspan is probably only about, I'm not actually sure, less than a foot. It's 12 inches. So she is fully flighted. I do have her attached here with the lead onto the glove. She is also trained to voluntarily come out for programs. So when I go into her enclosure, I can ask her to step up onto her perch. She'll let me put her jesses into her little anklets, the little bracelets that she has on her wrist, and she'll step up onto the glove for me.
And can you remind us again what her name is?
Her name is Gertrude. So we tend to call her Gerty here for short. And she is one of our chattiest animals. She loves to cheep and say hello. And one of the ways that these guys kind of brings up the communication for these guys, they will actually bob their heads and kind of wag their tails a little bit when they're communicating with each other. So if they see a prey, a little mouse or a little lizard go by on the ground, they might start bobbing their head and their tail as they start getting excited and kind of. You can see she's just kind of relaxing, taking a look at everything. She doesn't see a lot of them yet, so it's something new for her.
So, can guests see her when they come to the zoo on exhibit?
So they won't see her family members are out on exhibit. We have some pygmy falcons that are out in tropical forests. I believe we have some in Birds World as well. So we've kind of got pygmy falcons here and there. I do know they're temporarily off exhibit, at least today, as they're doing a little bit of exhibit work to do some improvements in the tropical forest building. But keep an eye out next time you folks are here in tropical forest. You might want to listen for them. They are very small birds and they're kind of tucked into the side, so they can be very easy to miss if you're stopping by. So, but they're usually pretty chatty and you'll hear them kind of chirping and cheeping to each other.
Do they have predators in the wild, do you know?
Yep, so any kind of larger bird of prey might go for these guys. They usually stay pretty safe up in the trees, but larger birds of prey, and if they're down on the ground, something might be able to kind of come in and get them as well.
We had a question about what kind of sounds they make.
So she does kind of make a very loud, she can do a very loud, piercing kind of, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. I hear it every day in the moment, but it's a pretty excited, the high trill that they make. But usually she'll start making that and bobbing her head and wagging her tail, usually getting very excited. We just got a little head bob there, she got curious.
How often do you take her out like this?
So we usually try and get her outside a couple times a week. It kind of depends on weather. We want to make sure it's warm enough for her outside. And now that there are more people here, we kind of started her off on days when there weren't a lot of folks here, and we're kind of building her up to more people. But we usually bring her out for about 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how comfortable she's feeling. So we keep a close eye on her to make sure she's not getting too nervous.
What is your favorite thing about working with her? Or does she have any cute personality traits that make her unique?
She does. One of the things that she loves to do is she has a couple water dishes that she likes to take baths in. And we also got her a nice little dust bath for her to get used. But however, she doesn't like to use her dust bath. She likes to go down on one of the bare spots where there isn't anything and just take a little imaginary dust bath, which can be pretty fun to just hear her start flapping down on the ground. And yeah, I guess I'll give you guys her favorite treat for her reward for always coming out at the end of a session. And so she's going to be getting a couple of these when we go back, is a mouse tail. Believe it or not, you wouldn't think of a mouse tail as very exciting, but it's something she loves. She gets very excited. Usually she'll grab it, hop over, and she'll start hopping all around her enclosure, talking about what a proud hunter she is of showing off her mouse before she gobbles it down.
Do we have any more questions coming in? You might want to wrap up in a second.
All right.
Cool.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. If you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the comments and we'll answer them as we can. All right, bye guys. Hope you join us next time.